All right, Pedro, got your radio done. I went ahead and flashed the firmware. I have the latest firmware file for it, so it's all up to date now. And finished with your code plug. Here's your power on message. Okay, so let me go over your buttons here. Of course, this is your volume up and down. And whatever your current zone you're in, which we're in zone 1 right now, that's all the GMRS simplex channels 1 through 22. These buttons here are your channel up and down buttons. And what's great about it, I'm not going to go all the way up through it, but if you are on channel 22, if you hit the up button, it recycles back to GMRS 1. Does the same thing going backwards too. Picking up some Warrensburg traffic there. And what these little upside down triangles denote is that this zone is included in the scan, and so is the channel. Now, you can delete channels from the scan if you don't want them part of the scan. Let's say you're doing a scan and you pick up a station that's got a lot of maybe kids playing on it or some kind of interference. You can hit the A button while it's in a scan and it'll delete it. Or if you're not in a scan, you can do it too. For instance, right now, GMRS 1's included in the scan, but if I hit the A button, it takes it out of the scan. And then to put it back, you can just hit it again. The B and C buttons, your left and right arrows, that's to advance to the next either forward or back as far as your channel zones go or channel groups. So the C button will go up a zone, and then the B button will go back a zone. It makes that beep to let you know you're back at the first zone. And same thing, I've only got 3 zones in this. If you're on zone 3 and you want to go to zone 1, you can just hit the C button again and it'll go right back to the first zone. It just kind of wraps around. This triangle button is a function button. Think of it as a shift button like you use on your computer keyboard. So when you hit it, it tells it that you're wanting to perform a function. And what that function is a secondary function of any of these buttons, or any of these even too. I don't have a lot of them in there, but it does give you a little bit more capability with what you can do. So I'll come back to that, but of course this is your scan. And when you're in a scan, it'll have that little, picking up some more traffic there. It'll give you that little kind of circular arrow thing, but it stays on whatever, let me take it out again, because what it'll do is it'll stay on whatever channel you're currently on. And so if it's scanning and you're not picking anything up and you transmit right now, it's going to be transmitting on GMRS 1 channel. But if it did stop on something, I gave it about 10 seconds on the timer. If there's no traffic for 10 seconds, it'll just resume the scan. But while it's stopped on a scan, if you transmit, it's going to transmit on whatever channel it stopped on for the scan. That's called selected plus talkback.
954, thank you, sir, for
So
that
we're picking up
information, brother. I do
some traffic
appreciate it.
here from Warrensburg.
You have a good evening there, sir. I'm going to switch over to the local.
Let me
So,
shut the scan
enjoy
off so I don't hear that for right now. Again, the A button is to either delete or add back channel from the scan group. And then B and C are your up and down for the channel groups or channel zones. This square button here is that OST function I was telling you about. Let me just kind of give you a scenario here. Let's say you're traveling, and wherever you're traveling to, you look up on mygmrs.com, and let's say you find a repeater that's going to be nearby, where you're vacationing or what have you, and they have their, listed that it's an open repeater, and they list their tones there. As long as they're CTCSS tones, this OST function will work. So let's say you're traveling and let's say it's a 550 repeater. So you can go to this is just the zone 2 is just your standard repeater pairs for GMRS with no tones program, so totally open. But let's say you found a repeater on 550 and let's say they listed their tones as let's say 141.3. What you do, the square button, you press and hold it and it'll pop up like this, and then you use the B and C buttons to set the tone. So let me 141.3. And now, you know, if you're on that 550 frequency still and you dialed that tone up, all you need to do now is just key your mic and start talking, and you should be able to get into the repeater. I'm always in a good habit. If I'm done using it, I usually come back here and shut it off when you're done. Just kind of how I do it. And then once you get it back to here, you can just hit I usually hit the triangle button, will get you back. But this little dash means that OST is still active on this channel, even though the tone is off, so you wouldn't have any tones. But to get rid of that, you just single press the square button, and then that means OST is totally turned off now. So let me go over the functions. If you hit the triangle button first, I'll show you what it does. It says FNC, and then I've got, I think, the scan button, the A button, and the C button, and these two buttons program with secondary functions. So you hit the triangle till it says FNC, and then if you hit this button, it basically will change your backlight. Whoops, you gotta hit it, function each time. So function, and then the up volume button. So that's on high, function, hit it again. That's medium or low, and then one more time it's off. So I'll go ahead and put it back on high. Function, and this button is for your squelch level. So if you hit function and then that button, it's got your squelch level. Then I believe you use these to change your squelch level. I usually just leave the squelch at 4, seems to work pretty good. And then to get back to your normal screen, you just hit the function button once. Let's see here. Function and the scan button, it is monitor squelch off. So like if you're kind of hearing a weak station and it's having problems breaking your squelch, you can either turn the squelch down or just turn it off by doing monitor. So you do function and then S, and then function and S again to go back to having your squelch turned on at whatever level it's at. Function button and A is for talk around. Nope, thought it was. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not A, it's the triangle button. So you hit it once for function and then hit it a second time, and it gives you the little talk around icon. What talk around is, let's say you're talking on a repeater to someone and it's not a network repeater, it's a standalone, let's say. If you wanted to have a private conversation with them so it's not going through the repeater, when you turn that talk around, instead of you transmitting on the 467 megahertz, you're actually transmitting on the 462, so it's almost like using simplex. But it is kind of handy to have. I have used that before. Okay, and then, so I didn't use the function with the A. I did use it with the C though. And this actually has a little battery in it, and when you program it, it keeps track of the time. So let me show you here. It gives you a little clock display. That's kind of cool. And then you hit function and C again to turn it off. So hopefully that was clear enough for you. The third channel zone or channel group, whatever you want to call it, this is where I have all of the repeaters, all the Midwest GMRS repeaters and tones, and it's accurate as of today. And I also have, I think it was the Joliet repeater in there, So this is channel 1, and as you can see, I have the state abbreviation there. So this is an Iowa repeater, Quad Cities. That's the only repeater there. And then you go up a channel, you're getting into Illinois, Grandview, Warrensburg, McHenry, Rockford, Grundy, Peoria, Crete, and then here's your Joliet. I went ahead and stuck it in there with the tones that you sent me on that piece of paper. And then it goes into Indiana. There's quite a few there. Greencastle, Indy South, Indy North, Connorsville, Brown County, Linton, Elkhart, Russiaville, West Lafayette, Tippecanoe. You see, I've kind of had to abbreviate some of them just because you're limited on how many characters you got, but hopefully that's meaningful for you. Frankfort, and then here's Ohio, Johnstown. I believe that's the only one in Ohio. And then Wisconsin, you got Armored One, Devil's Head, Hodag, Madison, and Echo One. And again, you don't have to go down back through all of them. If you get to the last channel, you can hit the channel up and it goes right back to the beginning again. So that's kind of nice. But let's do a little bit of just a quick demo here. Let's put it on channel 5. I'll put this HT. These HTs too, if you're looking at Kenwood HTs, these aren't new, they're older, but they will do MDC and also fleet sync signaling for Kenwood, but I have this one set up for MDC. So let's see, let me put it on channel 5. Let me make sure the volume's up. So I'm going to key your radio, and you should hear it come through this one. Oops. All right. So I'll hold that there. I want you to see what the display does too, because when I do this, when I unkey at the end of the transmission, it's going to transmit your MDC data. And I don't have you loaded in mine yet, where it'll actually show you like your name or call sign or anything. It'll just say ID, and it'll have your 4-digit MDC code that I made up for you, that 565A. But so let me go ahead and do a quick transmit here. WRAH 210 testing. And there you see what it does there for the MDC. It gives you a caller ID. Now, if I had you loaded in my alias list in my code plug on this, which I'm going to, go ahead and add you in there. If you were to call me either simplex or through any of the repeaters, that MDC is going to come through and it'll have your call sign and your first name. Or like what I did on yours, some of the people I loaded in your alias group, when they call, and your radio will display who it is. Some people have short names like Ray or Tom or Dave, but anything over 5 digits you can't fit. So instead of putting the whole GMRS call sign for the caller ID, I just put the last 3, the numbers, you know, like 545 or 210 in my case, and then a space, and then the first name. Quite a few of them do have the whole call sign though, because there are a lot of people who have just a short name, or, you know, they go by their initials or what have you. But anyhow, yeah, it works real good. I might be able to see if I can get a call out to Warrensburg and see how it's sounding to them. Let me go ahead and turn this HT off. Oops, sorry about that. Yeah, these are TK-8180s. These are actually the HT version of the 8180. So uses the same software, so that makes it handy. As far as Motorola's go, you got a lot of choices. I got these. They're XTS 2500s. These are former Marine Corps radios, and they'll do some fancy stuff, including encryption. But you can get the pretty good deal on those. But these 3180s, they're great, and you can pick these up pretty inexpensively, probably less than $200. But let me switch over here.
Five,
There's
three,
Warrensburg right there. I've been having issues with the Warrensburg repeater, which
Doing fine this evening, sir. I got a new
turn
little
this down. The repeater owner, Buddy, he's been having issues with it, and he thinks it's internet related. Whenever he has it unlinked, it seems to work okay standalone, but my receive is broken up. People cut in and out. But they say they hear me just fine when I transmit in, so it's just my receive isn't working for some reason. None of my radios receive it good, so I know it's something going on with the repeater.
You know, I'm asking, would you...
Well, I don't know if I'll be able to break in here or not. I hate doing that, just to test the radio. But I did talk on it just a little bit ago on Warrensburg. Talked to somebody for a couple minutes, and they said I sounded fine. But yeah, my receive just isn't what it was. But I'm hoping Buddy gets over there to the repeater this weekend and fixes it. But I'm sure it'll, whatever Joliet or Creed or Grundy, those are all really good repeaters, so it should be rock solid. There's just something going on with this repeater in particular. You can hear how it's cutting in and out. It does the same thing on all these, on my HTs from here. And it could just be, you know, it's summertime and all the trees have leaves on them, but I generally get out really good and get Warrensburg in on the receive side really good, so I hope they get that fixed soon. But anyway, I hope that was meaningful for you. And I'm going to print out the programming software. You can print a report and it shows you all your channel zones and the actual frequencies and tones, and there's a page that shows you what all your buttons do and the functions, you know, the ones that you have to hit the function button first, they're called the second function, and it'll list those out. But you can refer back to this video if you want to until you get the hang of it. But let's see. There's nobody on there. Maybe I'll try it real quick. No, people still talking.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Just shut it off.
WRYQ 753.
But anyway, hopefully that all made sense to you. I think you'll be happy with it. Like I said, I've got an 8182. It's a great radio. Here's that 8360 I was telling you about, and it's really nice. Instead of having to do a function button, you can actually press and hold the buttons to do something else, which is I kind of like better than this. But I like the 8180 overall better for other reasons, like the display. Look how nice that display is. Same as yours. Look at this one though. See how it's got the big like segmented LCD instead of like the small dots? It's just harder to read to me. I don't know. Plus you can't, this only holds 10 digits where this holds 12. So that's another thing that I like about the 8180 better, but it is a good radio too. So I definitely recommend those as well. Here's my my TK-8180. This is a killer radio here. It's got an even bigger display on it. But all those buttons are backlit, and you can put these little inserts in there to match up with your programming, so it helps you out. And I like how it's kind of got the rotary knob for the volume. You can use that as a volume if you want. Plus, you can use this for doing your channels or do buttons. Or use, you know, these for volume. But it's a really nice radio too, but look how big it is. It's huge compared to these. These are a lot better like in a vehicle or as a base because they're so small. But anyway, just thought I'd do that for you and send you this video. And I'll go ahead and get it boxed up and sent back to you tomorrow, my friend. All right, take it easy, Pedro.